So a battle at the top of the Pac-12. What did we learn from last night's UCLA versus Oregon game? Let's get into it. Be sure to leave this video a like, comment down below what games you want to see me cover next week, and be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss when we actually cover it. So first and foremost, I think the thing that is most evident after taking a look at this Oregon versus UCLA game is that Bo Nix finally looks comfortable, and he finally looks like the quarterback that was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. After the rather pedestrian career that Bo Nix had at Auburn, with all the pressure that he had with his dad being a former player for Auburn, and just all the weight and pressure of him being the starting quarterback since his true freshman year, he finally, after moving to Oregon, he was either going to boom or he was going to bust. And he has been nothing but booming. Business is booming. Bo Nix was 22 of 28 for 283 yards and 5 touchdowns in this win over UCLA. He also had 8 rushes for 51 yards, and those rushes came in very key moments. And honestly, even though there was never really a point where Oregon looked to be down in this game, Oregon had their foot on the pedal the entire time. This, I believe, did live up to the hype that this UCLA versus Oregon game was supposed to have, with 2 of the Pac-12's best teams going up against each other, number 9 versus number 10, pretty much finding out who is going to be at the top of the Pac-12, obviously with Oregon being in the Pac-12 North and then UCLA being in the Pac-12 South. It's a little bit different, but this was a great game to just show where the top teams in the Pac-12 are. Whereas Oregon had their foot on the gas pedal the entire game, I feel like where UCLA really struggled in this game was outside of their run game. They weren't able to consistently get their pass game going until later on in the game. While Dorian Thompson-Robinson has been taking great leaps and bounds year in and year out during his college career, he has yet to truly be that true pocket passer, that guy that could really make all the throws across the field. He still lacks a little bit in arm strength. He still lacks a little bit in arm accuracy. The mobility and the acceleration is there, and it's quite easy and evident to see that it is there, but he just hasn't been able to take that next leap, that pro level leap to being an NFL or a top tier passer at the college level. And because of that, teams, but more specifically Oregon, was able to capitalize on Dorian Thompson-Robinson's weaknesses in the passing game. And UCLA likes to get the ball out to the boundaries. They like to get that ball out into space with their playmakers. And all Oregon had to do is pretty much just not bite on anytime that you see a 2 wide receiver set on the outside, just know there's probably going to be a screen, so you just got to just crash down with one of the safeties. UCLA's offense became very predictable from the middle of the second quarter, we'll call it the third quarter on. But now let's get into more of the team-specific breakdowns, and we'll start off with UCLA. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, while I did say that he still does need to improve a little bit more as a passer, he is Lamar Jackson quick. He doesn't have the top end speed of a Lamar Jackson, but when it comes to being able to make a guy miss and be able to break ankles on a phone booth, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is one of the quickest quarterbacks in the entire country. And on top of that, and it should be no surprise to anybody who's been paying attention to Pac-12 football, Zach Charbonnet, I can't just call him the best running back in the country because that's not true, but he is for sure a top 5 running back in this class. When he gets ready to go to the NFL, and once he gets into the combine and people really start looking at his tape, they'll start to see that Zach Charbonnet, this is one of the most pro-ready running backs in college football, in my opinion. I mean, 20 carries for 151 yards and a touchdown, averaging 7.6 yards a touch. That is effective, especially going up against this ridiculously quick and tenacious Oregon defense. Zach Charbonnet has shown no matter what defense you put in front of him, from the best defenses in the Pac-12 to literally anybody, he's going to keep on getting his production. And the last player that I want to cover for UCLA is Jake Bobo. He is a senior tight end who had 8 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. This 2023 NFL draft class might be the deepest when it comes to tight ends, and I'm telling y'all right now, in the next 5 years, tight ends are going to absolutely take over the NFL. The tight end position is going to be the new revolutionary position, the same way that now every single quarterback in the NFL, if you're a new quarterback going to the NFL, you need to be somewhat mobile. You cannot be just the Peyton Manning traditional pocket passer. You have to be mobile. I believe that is what the tight end position is going to be. You need to be able to block, but you also need to be an elite level receiver. Jake Bobo was out there torching Oregon's defense. Now, Granted, it was late in the game, so Oregon was playing a lot softer, so there was a lot more space for Jake Bobo to work. However, you cannot deny that he was making some great catches out there. Jake Bobo is going to be a guy to look out for come this NFL draft season. And I want to break down UCLA's defense, but I more so am going to be highlighting Oregon's offense. So let's just officially switch over to covering Oregon in this game. Oregon just is proving why they are, as much as I hate to say it as a USC fan, Oregon is the scariest team in the Pac-12. They showed from top to bottom that they have very few weaknesses in their game, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Can we all just give a huge hand clap to Oregon's offensive line? They absolutely were manhandling UCLA's defensive line the entire game. And because of that, you saw that Oregon went absolutely wild in the running game. Oregon had 262 rushing yards in this game, being led by Bucky Irving, who had 107 rushing yards, and Noah Whittington, who had 73 rushing yards. And oh, don't forget that Bo Nix also had 51 rushing yards as well. But all of that stemmed from Oregon being able to absolutely get a great push on UCLA's defensive line each and every single time. Both Noah Whittington and Bucky Irving are explosive running backs. They can shoot out of a cannon when it comes out to the backfield. And when they don't have to worry about having any hands on them for the first 2 to 3 yards of their run, they're able to absolutely explode. The sweeps to the outside were torching UCLA in the first half of this game. Oregon just had a great game overall. Bo Nix played one of his best, if not his best game in college so far. And Troy Franklin, he got a little bit quiet towards the back half of the game, but he exploded in the first half. Troy Franklin pretty much almost exclusively in the first half had 8 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was cooking UCLA in the first half. And another thing that I want to point out and really praise Oregon over was they never slowed down. Normally when you see a lot of teams, especially when they're playing at home, they get comfortable with the little lead. They're like, okay, you know what, we're up. All we got to do is pretty much just run out the clock and then we'll be good. Oregon from the jump never stopped putting their foot on UCLA's neck. And it showed most evidently with that onside kick in the second quarter. That was just a total FU move, pretty much just saying that if you want to beat us, you are going to have to beat us. Oregon came out there, the onside kick, they got it, they scored on that possession. And from that point on, it pretty much just completely took the wind out of UCLA's sails. They were not able to ever recover after that moment. And then even after that, even when Oregon was up 2-3 possessions, they still never slowed down. They only punted 1 time in the second half. That should just let you know that on 4th downs, not only were they converting on 4th downs, but they were also gutsy enough to actually go for them. Oregon played an absolutely phenomenal game. There are very few teams, in my opinion, that are going to be able to stop Oregon. Oregon's defense was playing on point. They were flying around. They were making it really, really tough for UCLA. The only area where Oregon was kind of struggling in was to stop Zachary Charbonnet, but I'll let him do that if we can keep Oregon or UCLA's offense relatively in check. And really, when you look at the last touchdown kind of being a gimme touchdown, Oregon did a great job. I mean, in the first half, UCLA only had 3 offensive possessions, 2 of which were field goals. So that's Oregon playing really solid defense in the red zone. And then pretty much you're just playing really loose defense on the back half of the game, just pretty much trying to prevent big play touchdowns. So it would make sense that UCLA would get a couple yards, win a couple of battles here and there. But overall, Oregon had this game under control the entire time. So my final thoughts for these two after this game is that UCLA, I'm sorry, because you're losing to USC. So great season. You're really solid season, UCLA. You did a good job of, getting up into the top 10. You showed that you're a decent team, but you lost to Oregon and then you're going to lose to USC. So good season though. Hey, you know what? Solid season, Bruins. Hopefully next year you guys are able to find another quarterback and get things up and rolling again. If I'm a UCLA fan, I know I'm being facetious as a USC fan, but there are lots of good things to look forward to as a UCLA fan. UCLA is showing that they're a solid team. I'm excited to also see how you guys transition to the Big Ten, because I know USC is going to have a relatively tough-ish transition to the Big Ten. I'm really excited to see how UCLA transitions to the Big Ten. So overall, solid season for UCLA. I know I'm writing it off like the season's ending right now, but it did, because you're losing to USC. And for my Oregon Ducks, let one or two more of those teams in the top 5 lose. Oregon could sneakily find their way into the college football playoffs more reasonably. They're probably going to just get into a really high bowl game. But Oregon is a scary team. If Bo Nix continues to play like he did versus UCLA, with that confidence, with that swagger, Oregon's going to be a tough team to beat come the back half of this college football season. So all my Duck fans, I would be very excited for the rest of the season going forward, especially because you guys have a very favorable season the rest of the season. The only real, you have to beat Utah and you have to beat Oregon State as the last game of the season. But if you can get through those two, I genuinely believe that Oregon could be a top 5 team in the country. But on any from y'all, comment down below, what do you guys think of this game? Be sure to leave this video a like. Also, comment down below what games do you want to see me cover next week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on all your notifications so you never miss any of the fire videos that we're dropping on the channel. And with that being said, I love and appreciate all y'all. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.